All right, let's talk a little bit about on-page optimization. What is it and how to get it right? Your page content is really important for search engines. And for all the reasons that you're probably very familiar with, has a lot to do with keywords, but we want to offer a little bit of a structured understanding of on-page optimization that adds a little bit of framing so that you can think about these things and how they matter. A lot of this material will be stuff you've already heard or are familiar with, but we're going to put it in a structure that makes it a little bit easier to understand how it all holds together. So first off, let's put some things into a category called pre-click on-page optimization. Before the user even clicks on a search result in a Google search results page or any other search engine, a lot of your optimization is already factoring into whether or not they're going to come to your website. So title tags, the title of your page and having it correctly in the HTML as a title is going to be a factor because that's the first text someone's going to see as a part of a search results listing. Next up is meta descriptions. Those descriptions are also really important. They're a big factor in the content that's shown after the title on the search results page, and it makes a big difference in terms of the optimization for those to be optimized around the keywords that you want to show up for. Also, making sure they're not duplicative with other pages, making sure they're all unique, and choosing a length and being aware of the number of characters that you can use that someone's actually going to see. They can be longer, and that doesn't necessarily hurt, but you can only show so many characters. So you need to be cognizant of what content is showing and make sure that it's not nonsensical, given that it's by definition going to be truncated in a search results listing page. Next is be descriptive and engaging with these descriptions. People are soaking in this little taste of content, and we often forget about the on-page experience at Google before the click happens, but it's a major factor in whether or not a human sees that content as helpful to them, much less search indexes. Next up is URLs. The URL that you have for the page has a big impact on the ranking of the page. It's one of the things that can contain URLs and tell Google and other search engines something about the page. So having a philosophy and an attitude toward how you're going to create your URLs and separating individual words with hyphens is a good way to do it. And so having thoughtfulness around structuring your URLs is definitely an SEO factor. Next up is after the click. So let's call this another bucket. These are things that are on the page. First up, headings. It's always good for your page to have a title. It could be the same or different than what's in the title tag, but it needs to be optimized for SEO and be very human readable. So there's kind of a balance there between keyword use and readability. It has to be clear and helpful and in an H1 tag. And Google's going to see that as a page heading. And then other headings, H2s, H3s throughout the content of the page. These are a really important component of your SEO. And so making sure those are useful to a real person who's sitting there looking and trying to take in or scan and get the gist of the structure of the page. That's a really important part of their experience. And so it influences their behavior. And it's directly important with search engines on what the content of the page is about. Next up is keywords. These are a part of all the different elements of your page, from the URL, which is not even part of the page itself, all the way down to the footer. And so thinking about those keywords and having a philosophy about your services pages, your product pages, your home page, your About Us pages that's applied consistently across the board, it's really important. And making sure that you use them well is important. And using them more is not always using them well. You want it to be very readable, very natural, and you need variations on your most important keywords. All right, next up is main body copy. The content that is in your pages is important. In the past, I've really focused on the first paragraph of new content on a page, but really now with passages becoming more prominent in search position 0, it's everything on the page and what each passage or paragraph of your page is about, and making sure that it's in a structure in the page that's usable and consumable. You don't want to give people just a wall of text. Well, you don't want to do that with search engines either. Break it up with H1, H2, H3s so that you have a structure that's discernible to search indexes. All right, next up, hyperlinks. We really like linking between pages. We also like linking from blog posts to more important product or service pages. This is a really good way to have a hyperlink philosophy for your internal linking. And it's a good thing to do with every page of content on your website. And also it's something that you can do over the years. You can go revisit page content or pages that you've created and loaded in the past and freshen them up, and by adding new links to them, maybe to new items that didn't exist when you created them the first time. Next up is images. Images are a big part of the usability of the page, but they're also an SEO factor. Using file names and meta content related to each image, and even visible captions for the image. This is a really important factor for improving how search engines can see the page of content and categorize it properly. And then next up is user satisfaction. If a user hits your page and they immediately bounce, that tells search engines something. They can see, oh, that one wasn't a good result. They're already back here on the search results page, and you don't want that. You want them to have a good experience. So if it's not a good experience for you, it won't be a good experience for them, and it won't be good for your SEO. All right, so that totals up our picture of on-page optimization. There are two big categories: what happens before the click, and then elements that are factors after the click. But no matter how you do it, if you're optimizing your content and making it more useful for people in search indexes, it's going to be good, and your SEO is going to improve and grow. All right, we'll see you on the next one.